Hello and welcome back to the Card RPG Scriptable Objects tutorial. My name is Krasenstein and this is part 7 where we're going to be working on the game manager and being able to use cards. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new manager. So we're going to do create empty. We're going to drag it up into the manager's broken up section that we created, and we're going to hit F2 and change it to game manager for the name. Make sure that the X and Y are 0, 0. And then we're going to go ahead and create a new script. So create C# script. And it's going to be game manager. You'll see it changes it to a little gear icon because it's a pretty standard script across most games. So we're going to drag the game manager onto the game manager object. So now that it's here, we can either double click here to open it. We can even double click here. It'll open the script any which way. Okay, so there's going to be a couple things we're going to do for the game manager. First off, we are going to create a state system for the actual game. So basically, when the game is in a certain game state, you can do X amount of actions or less actions. So we're going to do a public enum. We're going to call it game states. And inside that, we're going to only have 2 of them. We're going to use combat and end match. So when the enemy dies or when you die, what happens then, right? So we'll be able to switch between those 2. Let's get rid of start and update. We don't need them just yet. We're gonna add that ever so important instance that we've been doing with other managers. So we're gonna do a public static game manager instance. And inside the awake method, where we type awake, hit enter, we're going to do a if instance is not equal to null and instance is not equal to this, then we're going to destroy this .game object and return. Otherwise, if it passes that, instance equals this. And this is something different that we're going to be doing. The game manager should move between all scenes. There shouldn't be a problem with the game manager. It should work seamlessly through every scene. So we're going to add something called don't destroy on load. And we're going to call in this .game object. And basically what that says is, hey, when you switch scenes, I want this one to not be destroyed. Because when you switch a scene, everything will be destroyed in that scene or cleared. And then it will go into a new scene with the object that exists inside that scene. So because of that, adding don't destroy on load here will mark this game object and have it move across all scenes. The only other thing we're going to do inside the game manager is we're going to add a public static void and call it change state. We're going to pass in a game states new state. This is going to be our way to change states throughout the change states between combat and end match seamlessly throughout scripts. We're going to create one more variable. It's public game states, and we're going to call it current state. And then we're going to do down here inside the static method, we're going to do if instance dot current state, because now we're calling, so when we call instance, we have access inside a static method. Calling instance allows us everything that exists inside the actual method. So this basically is a getter that lets us grab everything inside here. So if instance.current state is the same as new state, then don't do anything. Otherwise, instance.current state equals new state. Now what happens on the new state? We're going to do a switch tab new state and hit enter, and it'll give us both of the cases for combat and end match. Okay, and we'll be able to set stuff up for that. So basically that's like, for instance, if we wanted the time to stop on end match, you could effectively do time.timescale equals 0. And this will freeze time for the end match. So every time you call GameManager.changeState equals, or change state, and in the parentheses here you do GameStates.endMatch, it'll freeze time. Same thing with pausing the game. You could effectively add many things with a switch state system. So that's the entire Game Manager script, pretty much. There's not really much else to add to it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go into the Card Manager. So hit Control and comma to bring up the search function in Visual Studio. You're going to type in Card Manager, and you're going to make sure you hit the Card Manager script. And it's brought you over to that, or you can click it if you have it up here still, if it's still up there. So we have to add something in here, and that is a helper method, public bool. We're going to do can use card, and it's going to pass in a card, and we're going to call that card C. Right? What that's going to do, it has to, if it's calling bool and not void, we have to return true or false. Effectively, you can return a if statement, right? So this is basically saying if here, but it does true or false for you on the spot. And you'll see how that works. So we're going to return current stamina is greater than 0, and C.card stamina, so the actual stamina for that card, is less than or equal to current stamina. So what does that basically say? That says, hey, use this card. You can use this card if you have more than 0 stamina, and the cost of that card is less or equal to the amount of stamina you have left. So if it validates both of these equations, then this can use card on that card returns back true. Otherwise, it is always false. That's going to bring us into the card script. So you can either do Control comma to bring up card, or you can just click card if you have it up still. Let's scroll down, and let's add a new method to the bottom. And it's public void, and we're just going to call this use card. So, first thing, we are going to call if, so this is the game states, right? So if game manager dot instance dot current state equals game states dot end match, we're going to do stuff. Right? So this is what we're going to do here effectively is we're going to, at some point, we're going to reset combat, and then we're also going to add new card to deck. Right? And that's all we're going to do. We're going to do else if, and then game manager instance current state equals game states.combat. We're going to do a couple more things. So now we're going to do the if. So we're in the actual card script right now, right? So if card manager dot instance dot can use card this, hey, does this card do you have enough stamina to use this card? Then we're going to do card manager dot instance dot current stamina minus equals card stamina. So hey, if there's enough stamina, minus it by the amount of stamina on this card. Now we need to go, hey, stuff needs to happen for this card to actually perform, right? So now after the stamina has been removed, do cool card stuff. We're going to do switch, tab, card type. Remember, that's the type of the card. We're going to hit enter twice. That pre-fills all of the card types that could possibly exist. Card types will never be none. They will never be count or default. They're always going to be either an attack, a defense, an item, or a boost. So we have one part left to add before we can start filling the card type information in. Is we're going to add in after the switch, we're going to add in a UI manager.instance.updateDisplay. So we want to, after we touch the stamina, we want to call the display to change the stamina. If this works correctly, we should be able to click the play button, click on a card, and actually use up some stamina. What we need to do is for the card prefab, right, so you're going to go to the prefabs, click on the card. You can drag this down a little bit to give us more room. There's nothing that happens on click right now. So we have to add that. So we're going to click the little plus sign, drag the card script onto the object, into the little fill spot. Change no function to card use card. Now that'll be part of this card script. Now if we click play, we should be able to use smack and our stamina goes down. We can use defend and our stamina goes down. It doesn't do anything yet, but it shows that it actually is working. And we can't use any cards to go past 0 stamina. The next thing we need to add is we need to go back into the scripts. We have to go into the card manager script. So double click on card manager and reopen that up. Or if you already have Visual Studio open, you can just click on Visual Studio. We need to actually add in some of the abilities that can actually happen so that we can actually go through and populate the card types and have them do stuff. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open in the card manager, we're going to go to the bottom of the script. Well, let's not make it the bottom of the script. Let's just go right underneath where draw card is. So we're going to do a public enumerator called draw cards. And we're going to pass in a card called card. So basically when you use the card, you're going to call this coroutine that's going to work independently of the main loop of the game. There's the update loop and there's a coroutine section. So when you use a coroutine, it works independently. It does not require you to constantly be updating every frame for it. It works on real time. So first off, we're going to grab and store the int of the amount. We'll call it an actual amount, equals card, because we need to grab how much card draw this card had. Right? If there was 2 cards, then you draw 2 cards. If it was 4 cards, we're going to draw 4 cards. Right? So now we're going to do a for loop. So for tab. And we're going to do int I equals 0. I is less than amount. And hit enter. And we're going to do draw card. So each time that it exists, you're going to draw a card. And if we want, we can do a debug.log of card drawn to actually show in the console that there is a card being drawn. And then we need to do something that's special just to enumerators or enumerators, and it's called a yield return. So we have to do yield return new wait for seconds, and we're going to use 0.02 seconds, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it will be noticeable. So basically, if you draw 3 cards, this entire system takes 0.04. So we're going to be adding one more thing. We're going to do a yield return new wait for end of frame, and then after that we're going to call discard card, and we're going to pass in the card for it. And we don't actually have discard yet, but we will have that very, very soon. So you may see all these errors on here. What we need to do is we need to actually go up to the very top and add in another and we're going to be using system.collections. What that will do is get rid of those errors. IEnumerator actually needs to be part of the collections dictionary, and it was not there originally. So now we need to actually create the discard card. Let's just go like underneath reshuffle deck. We're going to take here, we're going to do a public void discard card, and we're going to pass in a card, and we're going to just call it C. we're going to do a for loop, for tab, int I is 0, and I is less than card holder container dot child count, I plus plus. And we're going to do if card holder container dot get child of spot I dot get component card is equal to C, which is that card. So it's saying, is this the same card? Right? If it is the same card, then we're going to store the transform. So it's transform temp equals card holder container dot get child of I. Now we've stored it as the word temp. And now we can do temp dot transform dot parent equals discard container, because we're going to be moving the card to the discards spot on this screen, and it'll be hiding it. We're going to be adding in reset card transform and passing in the temporary transform. Then we're going to do an update display to make sure that all of the display updates and shows everything, and we're going to return out of it. So now that we finished the discard card method, we can see that it actually removed the error from it as well. Effectively, we should be able to actually click the play button here, and it would discard a card for us. So if we click on the card, oh, it didn't work because we didn't add discard card to the actual script for the card. Right? What happens after you do the effect of the card type? So in the card, we're going to go back to the card types, and underneath attack, we're going to type combat manager dot instance, and these methods don't exist yet, but we're going to make them. So we need to make the attack so we actually can do damage, and we're going to be using strength and discard. And you'll see how they turn out when we actually go to the combat manager and fill them out. Defense has one as well. It's the combat manager dot instance dot add defense, and it's going to call defense and this. That'll be the cards that add block. We're also going to add in here an if card draw. So if a blocking card has card draw, like our aerial flip card, and the card draw is greater than 0, we're going to start a coroutine of card manager instance draw cards. This, and remember we had that track how big this integer is, so that it can actually draw the cards for us. After that, it breaks. The item is, for now, in all intents and purposes, we have an if card draw is greater than 0, and the same line, this start coroutine line right here. Okay? As of right now, our only items are just card draw. And boost we're going to leave blank for now. We're not going to add boost just yet. So we need to figure out how to discard cards. We currently do that for the item, but we need to do it for attack and defense. So we have to actually open the combat manager. So there's multiple ways you can do that with the control comma, or you can highlight combat manager just by clicking it once, hit F12, and that'll send you to the combat manager script. So there's a couple things we're going to add. Right now there's not much at all in this script. We're going to add a public void attack, and it's going to take in an int for damage, an int D, and a card called card. So we're going to set up a spot for the current enemy to take damage. So that's going to have to happen when we create enemies. And so we're going to do if card is not equal to null. It's a little check for you. Then we're going to do card manager dot instance dot discard card. and it's going to be card. So we're going to pass that card in. And then, of course, afterward, always update the Cards Manager's display. The next one we're going to do is we're going to add some defense. So we need to do public void, we need to add defense. That's going to call an int d for just a number, and card. We have current defense, or current block. We're going to add d to current block. Then we're going to check for if card is not equal to null. And we're going to discard the card. Card manager instance discard card. Passing in card. And then, of course, the display. We're also going to set up two more functions that exist. One is going to be public void take damage, and it's going to pass in a int number called d. This one's a pretty straightforward one. We're going to first save the damage amount in a method integer called damage. We're going to do if current defense or current block is greater than or equal to damage. We're going to take current block and subtract damage from it, right? Otherwise, so that means if the current damage is, or if the current block is less than damage, we're going to take damage and subtract current defense from it. And we do current health minus equals damage. So we've effectively removed the amount of block left, right? We're going to change current block to 0, and then current health minus equals damage. One more thing we got to do here. We're just going to add this in, just in case you ever make a card with it. We're going to add in heal. Heal takes in a number called d as well, and all it is current health plus equals d. That's all we got to do. Current health already tracks to see if it goes above full health to keep it at full health. That's all how heal really needs to be. So we can go back into Unity, back to the project, and we can actually try and test to see if we actually gain block. All right? So we're going to hit the play button. And we have a couple things. We have aerial flip, which should draw us a card. It should work. We have a defend here. Smacks obviously don't do damage, but they will use stamina. So let's try the defend. If we hit defend, it discards the card to the discard pile. We have now 2 stamina instead, and a tiny little number here says 3 blocked. You can actually even look. We hit maximize with this little 3-part arrow here. You can see 3 block here. If we do aerial flip, will it draw us a card? It does. It discarded a card, and we drew the next card in the group. So everything seems to be working. We have 1 stamina left. Let's use smack on it, right? Smack got discarded, and that is that. So we have one more thing we're going to be doing. We're going to go back to the card manager script. The card manager script, we're going to go to the update display section. Wherever that is. There it is. And we're going to fill this part out where it says check if you can use this card in your hand and change the color of the stamina cost accordingly. So we're going to add that here. We're going to do card C. So we're going to save the card. We're going to do card holder container dot transform get child at spot I in the group dot get component card. So now we effectively have a certain card selected in the actual hand, in your current hand, and we're going to do this. We're going to do if can use card and pull C, because we created that method to be able to see if we have enough stamina to use a card. we're going to do c.card_stamina_text.color equals color.blue. Not black, color.blue. Else, c.card_stamina_text.color equals color.red. So now it will check to see if we have enough stamina to use the card, and it will turn the cards that color. And you can have it change to any color if you want. You can even set color as a variable and set it in here. So we're going to hit play. And what we're going to do is we're going to use 2 of the cards up. And we have 1 stamina left. And if we use it, the cards are now red. Which is exactly what we wanted to do. So now we can no longer use these cards, because they don't have enough stamina to use them. So that is it for part 7 of the Card RPG Scriptable Objects tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. We have a fully functional card system now that uses stamina, that also gains block. So that means in the next one, we're going to be making these smacks do something. That's right, we're adding enemies in. We're going to be working on the enemy manager and adding in the enemy prefab and attaching scriptable objects to the enemy so that we can pre-fill in all of the information for enemies. So until next time, guys, thank you for hanging out. Thank you for watching. Really do appreciate it. Be sure to follow us on Twitter. You can always check the Patreon for when the videos upload. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. Have a good one.